Hello and welcome. Alright, today we got a special little thing going on. Right before the server wipes, I went ahead and recorded a little tour of all of our big bases. I thought we'd go ahead and show them off today. So starting off, we have our big Red Desert base. This is where we make most of our gasoline and orange production and whatnot, and ended up being our primary base by the end of the last server. See, we got these nice giant castle walls, these wonderful embattlements along the top. It's pretty fun building out here. We came out here with just a quad bike and a car full of stuff. Pretty much built the skeleton of this place overnight. But and you can see we got these little trading hubs out in the front here. These were pretty fun to design. We had to try and think of a way that you could have a two-way trade interaction without any possibility of losing your equipment. Now, of course, the tradee has to trust you to go into that little room and let you lock them in there. But the idea was you could load up the stuff you were going to trade into these chests. Once that was ready, you left the window closed. You opened the door, allowing the tradee to come inside. Once they're inside, you then shut and lock them in. Now, once you open this window, they're able to interact with that chest, and they can take the item that you've put in there, and the idea is they put their trade item in the box. Once you see that item in the box, you close the window and reopen the door, let them go about their business. They've gone, they've left the item. Now, if they try and mess with you or if they kill you, they're stuck in that box. You just respawn and shotgun them. So we never actually got to use it, but it sounded like it would work pretty good. We're hoping maybe next time. And of course, our wrong ball court. When we got bored, we'd come out here and shoot some hoops. It was a blast getting this all made up. We've actually had several iterations of the basketball hoops. This was just the most fun-looking one. And of course, coming around to the parking lot. By the end of the server, we were doing pretty well for ourselves, I would say, in the old car realm. That's our little gazebo. We'd go hang out, eat there. Tribute to Yupa, whoop, whoop, my dog. And then this was our primary workshop. We'd have, you know, occasional car stored in there. Most of the gas production, of course. Keeping all of our ore smelting going up top. A couple of peepholes looking out the front of the base there. A lot of fun aesthetics on this base. We had a lot of fun, you know, making each room look good and making sure there were nice views out into all the courtyards and everything. This is built on 4 different plots here. You can get about 100 to 120 oranges going, and out in the Red Desert they despawn or spawn and rot so quickly that this is the place to do it. This, of course, is our iron bank, fully organized, looking good. And then in the very back here, oh, what do we have here? Oh, authorized personnel only for the C4 crafting station. Of course, it was empty. Last day of the server, we had already gone and blown everything up. Thus, a lot of the cars were achieved in this last week. So this is my favorite car out of all of them. It's got the legendary engine and all 4 slick tires. Head on up to our personal car garage where we kept all of our personal vehicles. Kind of a floating thing. And a quad bike storage here, which is supposed to have a stairwell that connects to that central part of the base there, but never finished it for whatever reason. But, what are you gonna do, right? So each bay was a 2-car garage for each of our main players. And we decided it'd be fun to keep the continuous look, so we used a lot of slit windows in there so that you could still look across and see everybody's cars and everything. And of course the troll toll at the end of the jump there, so that even if they do come in here and blow some of these doors off and try and get some cars, that's a whole nother C4 you gotta waste just to ramp them out of the base. So, of course, that probably wouldn't have stopped them, but it's just one more C4 they'd have had to waste. So we'll leave that guy up there for a little bit. Go show off the rest of the base. For a while, this was a big garage, and we actually had shipping containers for the other bases we'd load stuff into, and anyone who was heading out to those bases could just check those, take any materials or supplies that were needed. The embattlements got a little tall. It's a little hard to shoot down out of them, but they do offer quite a bit of protection, which is nice. So, I don't know. We never got to use them in combat. But, well, that's not true. We fought each other a lot in here. This is a really fun base for doing PvP in. And swinging around over the trade hub. Now we're up on top of the workshop. And then this was one of our concepts for a raid tower, how we would want to build it, using minimal supplies for the most protection possible in an area where you're going to be spawning and fighting a lot in short amounts of time. And then this hallway was just kind of a, well, let's just start building this way and see what happens. And then we wanted to put a tower on one side, so we thought we'd try and perfect our spiral staircase technique, and did pretty good on this one. It doesn't have the interior column, so it's a little dangerous, but it's nice. And then this was kind of another concept of possible raid tower ideas, different ways to incorporate kill holes and kill slots, ways for you to get those sharper, lower angles when people are actually assaulting your base, while still being able to maintain a good scouting height while looking out for other vehicles, whatever might be coming by. And then we designed those so that you can't fall through them, but you can still see through them. It's a pretty handy little thing if someone were to, be trying to come through that door below there. You obviously don't want to fall. It's not only embarrassing, but you're probably going to lose some equipment or whatever, depending on how many times you've killed them. So coming up to the midsection of the tower here. Again, some little embattlements, nothing huge on this side, just some things to get a little cover on in case someone did get into the interior wall. Or we'd have a way to still gun them down a little bit there, eh? And the garage is there. You can see that was the hallway that attached, but never actually attached. So heading on up to the top. Now the whole idea of this base was you had to go up to get down. I'm not going to explain exactly where it is, because we might use this design again someday, but you cannot reach the totems directly from the bottom, which also means don't be coming out here to spawn at the last second, because you've got to run through the entire base, front and back, to get to the totem room, which is a pretty cool design, but man, when you're starving to death, it's danger zone. So you can see right there that weird hallway connected back into the main tower here, and then our wonderful spiral staircase here, with the little balcony heading into what used to be the C4 crafting room before we built the iron bank. And then coming all the way down to the bottom, scooching out the sides there. Get a little more show off of the vehicles. But that pretty much wraps up the Red Desert base. We sure had a lot of fun building this one. We spent a lot of time on it. We spent a lot of time in it. And it was a bummer to see it go, but we're rebuilding as we speak. New base, new server, new spot, all of it. Now, our favorite part, of course, was the jump. Going out, that was like one of the prerequisites of having this giant wall is, well, we need a jump that we can use to get out. And this one, you actually can't see the jump from the outside, which is cool. And then, nice little shot of it driving away. It really started to look like a fortress by the end there. It looks a lot like a prison, to be perfectly honest. So, but then we come up to mid-base. Now, mid-base has gone through a lot of changes. At one point, we had way more totems over here. We had a giant castle up on this middle section. We ended up taking all that down, condensing into a single tower, and we would just come hang out here when we wanted to gather massive amounts of basic resources. It was also made a good drop-off point when we were doing raids. We could bring materials back to this place, load them up, and then come and get them later. Some fun little, again, just fun little aesthetic things, looking out in the courtyard, being able to see who's out there. A lot of different doorways. We found out a lot about doors. A lot of this is actually not as secure as we had thought it was once we started playing with C4 more. Pretty much one C4 in any enclosed room will blow out almost all of the doors in it, depending on how big the room is, but like one C4 on that door would have blown both of these doors out, no problem. So we've got a few better building techniques. We've mastered some pretty cool things. Getting to play with C4 makes a big difference. I mean, the more you raid, the better, you know, security you can put in place. Keeping our red drills going here. Red drills are a pretty important one. You want to run those on gasoline because they'll give you coal, and then you can run the rest of your drills in the other biomes off of coal, because red drills are the only one that gather coal off of gasoline anyway. So we had big intentions of building a giant tower up on top of this someday, but server wipes tend to kick that in the dick, so not this time. So that's mid tower, pretty fun little tower. A lot of kill hallways, a lot of, like, you know, people were storming up this hallway and we happened to be online. A lot of that was set up for that. Most of it was grand ambitions before we really realized that, you know, people don't raid you online. They're a bunch of pansies about it. So we did occasionally, though. We got to fight off a few sieges here. It was a lot of fun, but no one ever, like, got all the way up into that tower, so... one kid, though, did hide in the back of this garage and use a sound effect of C4, which was hilarious. Ha! And just leave the garage door open. End of server, no one cares! Alright, so getting to winter base. Getting stuck on the cement a little bit there. Now this base was really fun, too. This started off as literally just 2 squares. It was a totem and a drill with 1 door, no airlock. And, it was this room right here, actually. The airlock, of course, was added later. And then we started just wrapping layers around it, as you can see there for a second. And then Pop was like, hey, let's put some stairs in that. Like, let's make a wraparound staircase that goes around the outside to utilize that space. And that idea just kind of took, and we just kept adding onion layers of staircases and then eventually car ramps leading up to an upper garage. And then we kept our stuff in the middle here. No one ever found that. This base actually got blown into once. And that center floor is completely sealed off. And all of the confusing spiral wrap staircases, you know, they never took anything out. So they either got cut off halfway through their raid by one of our neighbors, or they were just stupid and never saw it. But they didn't get to our totem. They didn't get any of our stuff. It was just kind of, oh, there's a hole in the wall. We better patch that up. So this is my favorite part of this base, the upstairs garage. This is at the very top of the base. And we used to have someone's quad bike up on that pedestal. It was one of the trolls on the server, and we totally boned him, stole his quad, and then put it up on a pedestal. So a little ramp jumping out. It was super fun. You could come in, all the cars were always facing that ramp, so you could just jump in a car and someone could open the garage for you and launch you out. Another little mini b-ball hoop. Gotta stay busy. Gotta stay in shape. That Hurtworld life. Boom, baby. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the tour of bases for Corwizard's Warriors. Thanks so much for stopping by. Please give the video a like and subscribe. Go ahead and share that to your friends. Show them the Hurtworld life. And we'll see you next time with Wizard's Warriors. Thanks for stopping by.